Hi everyone, welcome you all. In the today's video, we're going to learn assertions in Cypress. So first of all, let us try to understand what is assertion. So assertion is basically a validation point. So when you automate any test cases, we have to add multiple assertions. So it can be title of the page we can verify, or some element displayed or not, or some property of the web element, or some text present in the web page or not. So we insert a different type of, we need to include multiple types of validations in your automation test script. For that, we use something called assertions. So Cypress is provided so many types of assertions. And basically these assertions comes from child library. Internally, the Cypress will use. So let us see what are the different types of assertions it will support and what kind of assertions are available and how we can use those assertions in our automation test script. So mainly the Cypress assertions are divided into two categories, and one type of assertions called as implicit assertions. And these assertions are the default assertions in Cypress. Cypress by default provided these assertions and called implicit, or we can say built-in assertions. The second type of assertions called explicit assertions. Explicit assertions, implicit and explicit assertions. So these are the two categories of assertions we have. Implicit assertions means built-in assertions which are supported by Cypress directly, and explicit assertions are assertions which we need to write explicitly. Okay, and under implicit assertions we will mainly use two things like should and end. So these are the two keywords which we are going to use as part of implicit assertions. And again, we have multiple options are there in should and end. We will discuss that later. And when you come to the explicit assertion, there are two keywords mainly we use. One is expect and the other one is assert. So these are the two keywords mainly we use as part of explicit assertions. So all assertions are derived from child library only. So expect assertions and assert. So these are two comes under explicit assertions. So first of all, let us look at implicit assertions like should and end. And once you understand how to use these implicit assertions, then again we will discuss about explicit assertions. And again here, expect and assert, there are two kinds of assertions. And expect assertions basically we use in BDD approaches of framework, BDD approach of framework. And assert mainly we will use in the TDD approach of framework. So these are the two types of assertions which are part of explicit assertions. Now let us start with implicit assertions. How to use implicit assertions? Should, end. So these are the two keywords mainly we use in implicit assertion. These are built-in assertions in Cypress. Now let us directly go to VS Code editor. Now I'm going to create a new test script file or spec file. So new file, and I'll name it as assertions .cy.js. This is my file extension. So once you create it, let us write a describe and then it block. So let me first write describe, and in the describe I will specify the description like I say assertions demo and comma, and I'll create one arrow function. Let's say this is my arrow function, right? And then curly brace. So this is the describe block. So inside the describe block, let us write it block. So how we can write it block? It, and we need to write a description. And here first we will discuss about implicit assertion. Then I will discuss about explicit assertions. First, let us talk about implicit assertions. Okay, implicit assertions. And again, this is a one more arrow function. So I can just create one more arrow function. Okay, so this is a declaration, describe and then it block. Now let us try to implement this it block. So let me write some tests inside the it block. So for that, I'm taking the help of Orange HRM application, Orange HRM demo. So this is a sample demo application I'm going to use. So click on it. Okay, so this is the web page. So when you open this, which will open the login page, username, password we have to pass, and then click on the login. So let us try to use this URL. Let's copy this URL. Then first of all, we need to launch our web page. So to launch our web page, what is the Cypress command which we have to use is cy.visit. 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 So this is the command. So inside this, we have to specify the URL of application. So this is the URL of application, and this will launch our application. Now, so once you launch your application, normally what are the validations you do? So once you launch your application, just I want to verify something on the URL. So the URL contains some text or not, or the URL equals to my expected URL not. So I want to verify, I want to add some assertions on this particular URL. As soon as I launch my application URL, I just want to add some assertions on this URL. So let us try to add some assertions on the URL. So first thing, let me start using implicit assertions. As I said, in implicit assertions, we have to use should and then end. So these are the two keywords which we have to use. One is should, end. So these are the keywords which we have to use to add implicit assertions. Now, let us try to add some validations on the URL. So the first validation is I want to check the URL contains something or not. Let's say my URL contains orangehrmlive.com. So I want to verify this one is part of my URL or not. So how we can add this implicit assertion? We can simply say, first we need to capture the URL from the web page. So as soon as you open this application, this URL will be opened on the browser. So we need to capture that URL. For that, we use one command called cy.url. cy.url. And this is the function, so which will return the current URL of the web page. And once you get the URL, and we use one assertion here, that is should. Should is a keyword I already told you, should. And here we can pass some parameters. So what we are expecting in this URL and what should the URL should contains, that we need to specify. Two parameters we have to pass. The first parameter is a key, that is include. Okay, so the first parameters of should function is always some keywords are available. I'll show you what are the list of keywords are supported in the should. So include is a keyword. Now what it should include, what the URL should include, that expected value we have to specify as part of second parameter. So I'm expecting this should be part of the URL. Let's say orangehrmlive.com. So that should be part of your URL that I'm going to specify. So this is one implicit assertion. cy.url, which will return the current URL of the web page. And once you get a URL, then we are checking or we are verifying this particular text is part of your URL or not. This is should include. Include is one key which we supported in should assertion. Okay, suppose I want to check equality. The same URL I want to check with my expected URL. So we can also write cy dot again capture the URL function, capture the URL, again should. And this time I want to check equality. So there is a keyword called EQ, comma. Second parameter is again same URL. So whatever URL we want to check with, so we need to copy the same URL and just specify here. So this particular assertion will pass if the captured URL is exactly equal to the provided URL here. But in the first case is whatever URL we captured, that URL should include this particular text, then the assertion will pass. And the second one, whatever URL we captured, that should be exactly equal to the URL which is open in the browser. So here include is a keyword and here EQ is another keyword which will support in should. Okay. And there is one more keyword is also there called contain. So I can say cy.url, capture the URL once again, should. And here I can use one more keyword called contain. It's not contains, it is a contain. And here we can also specify the text, some partial text which is contains in this URL. So for example, I just want to pass orange HRM. So this part is already there in my URL. So I'm just passing it here. So almost this one and this one works in the similar way. Here we are basically checking this part is part of your URL or not, include or not. And here also we are doing the same thing. So this particular text is present in the URL or not, that we are checking it. So this is another validation. So if I look at this, these are all implicit assertions using should keyword. So first we have to capture the URL. On top of the URL, we are applying should. This is assertion. And the first one is include keyword. Second one is equal to. The next one is contain. 3 assertions we kept. Okay. Now let us execute our code and see how it's going to work. And then we will add rest of the assertions. So currently we are discussing implicit assertions with the should keyword. Okay. Now let me save the file. And how to run the script. First of all, we need to open the terminal. Then I will launch my Cypress application. So npx Cypress open. So this command will open the Cypress application. Now I'm selecting end-to-end testing, Chrome browser, start. All right. So now it is got launched my Cypress runner window. So here, this is my spec file, assertions.cy.js. So this is the one we want to execute. So let me just click on this. Then it is started executing. So it is giving some error and no test found. So when you will get this error, if you have any syntax error, then you will get this error, no test found. Now let us look at the error and then we will run it once again. So here by default, some libraries are imported here. You can just look at here, Cypress and the Mocha. So currently we don't need this, so you can just remove them. And let us try to run the test once again. So you can just save the file once again and then open the new terminal. And again, I'm launching the Cypress, npx Cypress open. Now I'm selecting end-to-end testing, select the Chrome browser and start. So now this is my spec file. Now I'm clicking on my spec file. Now you can see here, it is started my URL. And once it is started URL, so then it will check all the assertions. Now you can just look at here. I have put 3 assertions. So all 3 assertions are got passed. So these 3 assertions I put inside the URL, only URL verification. Still, we have not verified anything on the UI. All right. So this is how we can add should assertion. This is implicit assertion. So we have just put 3 different validations on the URL itself. Now, if I just look at this, we have written this multiple times, right? cy.url.should, again cy.url. So if you have a multiple validations like this, instead of writing the should multiple times, right? So we can just avoid this one. So cy.url, we no need to repeat multiple times. So I'll show you the simplest way of writing this. So for now, I'm just commenting these 3. Okay. So what we can do is we can just capture the URL of the page. So first time, just capture the URL, cy.url.should. And apart from this validation, we want to add some more validations. For that, what we have done, every time we are capturing the URL and then applying the validation. So you no need to capture the URL in every time. You can simply say .should. So this is followed by the first validation. So the .should, again .should, again .should. You can put any number of should keywords, right? So this we can just avoid. So instead of writing multiple times, you can just capture the URL first time and then apply multiple assertions by using should keyword. So this is another way of writing the same assertions. Instead of capturing URL multiple times, we are capturing URL only one time and applying multiple assertions. So let's try to save and it will automatically execute. So let's open the window parallelly. And now I'm saving my file. Go to file. As soon as you save your file, then execution will automatically start. Now we can just look at here. Now it is launching my page and also all 3 validations are successfully done. So this is another way of writing the assertion. And again, if you look at this, the should is repeated multiple times, right? You can see here should is repeated 1 time, 2nd time, 3rd time. So instead of writing multiple shoulds, we can also introduce one more keyword called end. So we can also use one more keyword called end instead of using should multiple times. So let me show you another way of writing this. Same assertions, I can write without repeating should keyword. So let me comment this. Now look at this. So cy.url, first time I'm capturing the URL, it should be include this one. And you can use end keyword here. Instead of should, you can use end also. So if you want to add multiple assertions, then you can simply say end. Instead of should, you can simply say end. Okay, so now the URL should include this one, and it should equal to this one, and it should contains orange HRM. So this is a sequence of writing assertions. So 3 different ways we can include assertions. The first thing is, in every line we are capturing the URL. To reduce it, we have simply specified dot should, because multiple should keywords we can use on one particular object. So once we capture the URL, we can verify multiple things by adding multiple should keywords. Even should keywords also repeating. So instead of that, we can add end keyword. So this is the usage of should and end keyword. So now let us try to save and execute one more time. Save it. Now you can just look at here. Our test is again started. Execute. If you want to execute once again, you can click on this run all the test or reload. Then test will be executed one more time. Okay. So this is how we can write implicit assertions on the URL. So let us try to validate some more things by adding more number of implicit assertions. So here we have validated just the URL. Suppose I want to validate something on the title. And one more thing, there are some negative assertions also there. So these are all positive assertions, like we are including this one and equal to this one or contains this one. And suppose I want to add negative assertion. Suppose this is a contains assertion. Suppose I want to use not contain, right? So then how we can use, we have a negative assertion dot end. So instead of contain, I can say not dot contain. Similarly, not dot equal also there, not dot eq, not dot contain. So in this case, we should specify something which is not part of your URL, then this assertion will pass. Let's say instead of orange HRM, I'm just changing the value, let's say green HRM. Okay, now this is a part, it is not part of your URL, then definitely here we are expecting not, right? So this is not having in the URL. So definitely this assertion will pass, because this keyword is not, this text is not part of your URL. So we are also expecting the same thing, not contain. So this assertion will definitely pass. Now let me save and again, and go to your application. Now you can see it is launching my page once again. And now all assertions got passed. Totally 4 assertions. This is 1 assertion, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th assertion. All 4 assertions got passed. Okay, so the negative assertions also we can add like this. So these are all assertions we put on URL. So once you capture the URL, we put all these assertions. Now, suppose I want to add some more assertions on the title of the web page. So as soon as you launch your web page, we will get the title, some title. Every page is having a unique title. So I want to verify the title of the web page. Then I can add some more assertions, implicit assertions on the page. So first of all, how to capture the title? So here we capture the URL and then we applied multiple assertions on the URL. Now, similarly, we can also capture the title. How to capture the title is simply I say cy.title. cy.title. So this particular command, cy.title function will return the title of the current web page. And what we are expecting on the title, we need to add multiple validations. So by using should keyword, we can add should. And I'm using include keyword, so which will also support include. So we already used. So include, and what we are expecting the title is, let us say I'm opening my application. Let's say I'm opening my application. So what should be the title? What title you are expecting? Let me check it. Okay, now, so this is the, okay, so this is your page. So every page is having some title, right? So if I just click on here and inspect, you will see the title of the page here. So in the header part, or okay, so this is a title. This is page currently launched by Cypress, so the title is different. So if you launch this particular web page manually, so then the title will be different. So let me try to open another web page. Okay, and then we will find out the title. So the title is Orange HRM. So let's say include, and what's the title I'm expecting is, I say Orange HRM. Actual title is Orange HRM. Now I'm saying only Orange here. This is the title. cy.title.should, cy.title. This will return the title of the web page. So once you get the title, should include orange. So actual title is what? Orange HRM is the actual title. But here I'm just saying only orange. So this is the part of the main title. So this assertion should pass. So this is one assertion. So apart from that, I want to check the equality. So you can use and. Instead of writing multiple should, you can simply say and. And what else you want to verify? I want to verify the equality also. So simply use EQ keyword, EQ and comma. And what is the actual title of the web page is orange HRM. So orange HRM. Okay, this is the actual title of the page. So just like above, once you get a URL, we have verified, we have put multiple assertions by using should keyword. Similarly, once you get a title, we can add multiple should by verifying multiple things on the page. So here I'm verifying the title should include orange, and also title should be equal to orange HRM. And we can also verify the contain. Contain is also supported in the should. So I can say end, one more validation end, and contain. So contain is a one more keyword. Contain, it is not contains, contain. And what that title should contains, I say HRM. It should contains HRM. So this is another validation. So once you get a title, we can also add multiple validations on the title. So should keyword is supported, include, EQ, contain, right? These are the keyword, not contain, not equal. There are many keywords it is supported. Okay, so later I will show you where you can find this list of keywords supported in should, so which is available in Cypress official documentation. So we can learn from them. So these are the different assertions. So all these assertions are comes under what? Implicit assertions. And we have done some, we have put some assertions on the URL and also on the title of the page. Suppose I want to verify some element on the present on the page or not. I want to put some validation or assertion on some element. It can be anything on the page. Suppose I want to check some text box is present or not, the logo is displayed or not. So I want to put some assertion. So in that case, how we can put the assertion? So for example, okay, let us go to the page. So here I want to check this particular logo is present or not. This logo is present or not, I want to check. So for that, what we need to do, we need to first capture the locator for this. And in the Cypress window, there is another way of getting the attributes of the element. So normally we open the web page and then right click inspect, and from the selector hub, we will get the attributes and locators, right? So Cypress is also provided their own mechanism to inspect the elements. Suppose I want to get the locator of this orange HRM logo. And how we can capture it? You can just see some option is available here. So this is the option beside this URL, and that is basically inspect option. So this will just click on that option and then show the element whichever you want to highlight. So I'm just clicking on the logo. So then you can just look at here. It is automatically generated a method cy.get, and which is basically giving the CSS dot orange HRM login branding. Inside this ing is a tag. This is the actual element. So this is a child element of this one. Okay, so this is automatically captured or created this method for us. So simply we can copy to clipboard and come back to your VS Code, and then we can directly use it here. So now I want to put some validation on the logo. So how to capture that element? Just copy paste that statement cy.get orange HRM login branding image. So this will get you the logo element. Now, what is the assertion I want to add in this? I want to check which is visible or not. It is displayed or not, or visible or not, I want to check. So I can add should keyword, should, implicit assertion, should, and one more keyword it will support. So in the should, previously what we have done, we provided something called should two parameters, right? Because cy.url, cy. is return title, which is returning something for us. On top of this, we apply this. So now we are getting the element, and that element is visible or not, you want to check it. So in the should, we also can pass one more parameter, single parameter, that is b.visible, b.visible. So like this, there are multiple parameters, single parameters also supported. So b.visible, this is one assertion. So this will basically check the element is visible or not. And there is one more option is also there. Instead of b.visible, we can also use exist. Simply we can use exist also. This is one more method which is available, one more assertion. cy.get, this is the element. And here you can say should, instead of b.visible, you can simply say exist. So this is also perfectly fine. So the first one will check the visibility of the element. It can be any element, not only the logo. You can check the visibility of element by adding this assertion. And you can also choose this one, exist. This will basically check the element is exist on the page or not. Right. So instead of writing cy.get this element, I'm getting 2 times here and here. Instead of writing 2 times, simply you can remove this. And also you can remove should. Instead of should, I can use end, because this is a continuation of multiple assertions. So here you can use one should, continuation of end. Similarly here should, end, and you can add multiple validation by using end keyword here. So this will basically check the logo is present or not. So these 2 statements will check the logo is visible or not, the logo is exist or not. Okay, so these are the 2 more validations we can put on the elements, web element. Not only logo, you can keep these assertions or any kind of elements. Okay, now let us try to execute this one more time. I'm saving my file, save, then your test script again reloaded. Now let us check. All assertions got passed. Now you can see this img. This is the image. The last 2 assertions we put on the image. So this is got passed. So this is how we can also put assertions on the elements, especially web elements, whether it is visible or not, exist or not, we can check. Okay. And sometimes we need to check multiple web elements. So for example, on my web page, I want to check totally how many number of links are present. I want to check total number of links are present. So to capture the all the links from the web page, normally we use XPath. So by using anchor tag, we can capture all the links. But once you capture all the links, I want to find out how many links are available according to my expectation is correct or not. That you can verify. So for that, what you can do is let us capture all the links. Capture all the links from the web page. So for that, you can use XPath also. We already installed Cypress XPath plugin. So if you are installed Cypress XPath plugin, you will able to use XPath also along with the CSS selector in Cypress. So cy.xpath. So this time I'm using XPath. And here I'm writing one locator //a. So every link is having anchor tag. So when I say //a, which will match all the links which are available in the web page. So basically what this statement will do, this particular statement will return all the links which are present on the web page. But what is my assertion here? I want to check how many links are present. So I can use again should assertion, should, implicit assertion, should, and we can use one keyword called have.length. Have.length, and what is the length you are expecting? Just I'm expecting some links, let's say 4, 5, 10, whatever. So currently that page is having 5 links. So I say 5 here. Right. So this is the assertion which will check the number of links. And the previous one, this one check the logo present or not, logo visible or not. And this will check the logo exist or not. All right. So this is one more type of assertion. So here also, first we need to capture all the elements. Should have dot length is a keyword, just like contain, not contain, equal to, just like this. Have dot length is also one of the keyword. And here we have to put expected value. So if the number of links are equal to 5, then this assertion will definitely pass. Let's say save it and then run one more time. Save it and then go to Cypress application. Now it is reloading the test. So this way we can also find total number of links. Now we can just look at the last assertion. It is returning 5. So should assertion we can also use like this. Okay, now let me show you something else. So in our application, currently there is no username and password. Suppose some text is present on some element. So I want to check that value correct or not. That means I want to verify the value is correct or not on that particular element. So far what we have done, we have verified the URL, title of the page, and element present or not, and the total number of elements, count we have verified by adding multiple assertions. Now what I'm saying is, I can also validate some value of the element. Suppose here, username, I have entered something called admin. So that value is correctly added or not, we can check. Okay. So for that, we can add one more assertion. So before that, let me add some value to the input box. So this is basically username, which is an input box, right? If I just inspect this element here, from here, you can directly inspect this. So which is given this statement, cy.get nth child of 2 oxt input. This is actually chained CSS path. Okay, so instead of doing this, we can directly get the X path of this or CSS of this element, and then we will try to use it. So this is the element currently which is there. So let me get the CSS, right? Short CSS for this element. Okay. So I have, let me open another browser window. Then we will try to inspect the elements. Okay, now let me launch my application. So here, let me try to inspect the username. Inspect, right click, inspect. Now you can just look at here. Input is my tag name, and there is one placeholder, and then we have a name. So multiple things are there. So let me just go to my selector hub, then capture the CSS. So this is a CSS for that username element. So let us use this in our test script. So now let me just try to find that element. So cy.get, and here specify the locator. And in this element, I want to pass some value. Let's say I'm using type. So type is a method through which we can pass the value in the text box. So I'm just passing some value called admin. So what this statement will do, this particular statement will provide the text, provide a value into input box. Okay, this will provide the value into input box. Okay, so we have provided some value into the input box, but I want to check that value, right value is provided or not. The right value is provided or not, I want to check. So the value we need to verify. So for that, what we can do is take this element and now apply should. Okay, so this is the element dot should. And what is the value we are expecting here is we need to pass one parameter. So have a dot value, and it should be what? Admin. We are expecting admin. Have dot value should be admin. So we already passed the value into the variable into this particular element. So once you pass the value into the element, then we need to check that value is correctly provided or not. So on the same element, we can specify the should keyword, should assertion, have dot value admin. So this is a value checker. This is a value check. So this value is exactly provided into this element or not, it will verify. So this is a one more parameter, have dot value. Let us save this and then execute how it is going to work. So this is your Cypress window. Now I'm going to run my test script. So just save the file, automatically it will run. Go to the file and then save it. So now we can see it is started executing my test. So all assertions got passed. Now if I just look at the last assertion, so once is provided the value, then it is verified that value is equal to admin or not. So it is exactly provided the same value. Now my assertion is got passed. Okay. So these are all comes under implicit assertions. Implicit assertions which will support two keywords, should, end. Should, end. End is just an enhancement. Like instead of multiple shoulds, we can simply use end. Okay, so on particular object or particular element, if you want to add multiple assertions, then you can simply add end keyword. So just like this. Okay, so these are all different keywords which is supported along with the should. So these are all implicit assertions, Cypress built-in assertions. Okay, so what are all keywords so far it is supported? Let me just list out here. So inside the should, we have used multiple assertions. So let us see what are the assertions which is supported inside the should. And EQ is one parameter is supported. Contain, it is also supported. include is also supported. And what else? Include we have seen, EQ we have seen, contains we have seen. And again, for every keyword, there is opposite, not EQ, not contain, not include. So for every keyword, there is an opposite also there. So negative assertion, to add negative assertions. And we have one more thing called exist also, exist. And then what else we have dot length, have dot length. And what else we have a dot value, have a dot value, right, etc. There are many keywords are there, but these are the main keywords very frequently we use while adding assertions into your test. Okay, so these are the keywords which we can use along with the should and end assertions. So these are all comes under implicit assertions. Okay, we verified we have added some assertions on the URL, and then we have added some more assertions on the title of the page. And then also we can add assertions on the elements, web elements. And also we can add assertions on the particular value, whether value is correct or not. So different validations or assertions we have added. Now let us look at the other type of assertions called explicit assertions. Explicit assertions. So in explicit assertions, we have two kinds of assertions, expect and then assert. So expect assertion mainly we use in BDD approach, behavioral driven development approach. And assert keyword normally we use in TDD approach, test driven development approach. So both are correct, both are supported. So expect and assert. So now we will see how to use these assertions. First of all, let us see how to use expect, which is provided by BDD. And again, these two assertions are also having different parameters, just like should and end is having different parameters. Similarly, expect and assert is also having different kind of parameters it will support. Now, first of all, let us see expect, how to use expect, explicit assertions, which is part of BDD. So if you want to add assertions in the BDD style, then we have to use expect. Or if you want to add validations in the TDD style, then you have to use assert. Okay, now let us see a few examples how to use explicit assertions one by one. And let's go to our VS Code again. So to explain this explicit assertions, I'll create one more it block. Let me copy this it block, and then I will keep it one more it block. Okay, now inside this, I'm just going to remove these assertions, whatever we have done. So here I'm renaming it as explicit assertions. Explicit assertions. And now I'm removing this code for now inside this. Okay, now I have created another block, another it block. So in this, we will see how to work with the explicit assertions in the BDD approach and the TDD approach. Now, again, I'm launching the same web page here, cy.visit. Now I will provide some username and password into the input boxes, and we will do some kind of a flow. We will automate some steps, and then we will add explicit assertions. Okay, these are all not built-in assertions. We can customize these assertions according to your requirement. So once you launch your page, then let me just go to the web page once again. And here we need to provide admin and admin12. So these are the two elements we want to locate first. So for the first element, we already added CSS. This is my locator. Let's copy. Go back to VS Code editor, cy.get. So this command will get you the element. And this is my CSS. Dot type is a method through which we can pass the value. Type and then say admin. This is the first statement, first element. And then I also pass the second element, that is password. So let's copy the same statement. Now here, the second element is what here? Let us inspect the second element. The second element placeholder is password. So this is a CSS for password element. Now copy this and I'm replacing this. And now the password is what? Admin123. Right. So now I provided username. Here we enter the username and here we enter the password. And then we need to click on the button. So the login button. Let's inspect this element. And this is a CSS. Button is a tag name, type equal to submit. Let us capture this. Now cy dot get the element. And once you get an element, then we need to perform the click action. So dot click. So this is the action. Now what we have done is we have just opened this application URL. Then we provided the username, we provided the password, and then we click on the login button. So once you click on the login button, then what happens is you can see the name of the user. So I just log into application. So once you log into the application, now we can just notice here, this is the user currently which is displayed. And this username is dynamically changing. So what we need to do is we need to check the right user is displayed or not. Here he is a user, some random number it is giving. Normally it will display some name. Okay. So first name and last name will be displayed. So every time when you log into the application, so this user will be different. Every time it will be different. So now once you successfully log in, I want to check this username is correct or not. So the user is correctly displayed or not. Okay. So let us see how we can do this. So for that, what we will do is, let us go to your script, and here we need to write something JavaScript function, because explicit assertions we cannot directly use. Okay, so we need to create our own customized functions, because the explicit assertions are the customized assertions. They are not built-in assertions in Cypress. So what we can do is we will expect some name, right? Once you successfully log in. So let me create one variable. Let's say let expected name equal to. Okay, for now I'm just taking some name. Let's say XYZ. Later we will update this. So let is a keyword. So in JavaScript, if you want to define any variable, we use a let keyword. So let expected name equal to XYZ. So now I want to check this is the exact name is displayed after successful login or not. Okay, so for that we need to write one JavaScript function. So how to write a JavaScript function here is, first of all, get that element, that name element we have to capture, right? So how to get that element is we need to again get the locator of that element. So this is the name. Let's inspect that element. And if I just look at here, this is the element. All right, so now go to selector hub, and this is the element. So in this particular class equal to OXD user dropdown hyphen name. So in which the actual user name is present. So I can use this particular locator. Copy this. And here we need to write, first we need to capture the element, because we want to verify the text of that element with this expected name. So I'm writing one JavaScript function. So how to write a JavaScript function? First, we need to capture the element. On top of that, we need to write a JavaScript function. So I can say cy.get. So first get that element. Okay. And once you get an element, what we need to do? So here we use something called then, and whatever the element we captured here, I want to store this element in some variable. I want to store this element from some variable, and later I will get the text value of that element. So I can use then keyword, then specify something called x, some variable I'm specifying here. Okay, so here we will create one arrow function actually. So this is my arrow function. So this is my arrow function. So then inside this, we are creating one arrow function. So this is an arrow function from here to here. This is one arrow function. Let me write like this. Okay, this is my arrow function. So inside this arrow function, what I'm going to do is whatever element I'm capturing from this text or from this statement, I will store that element in a variable. Let me call that as a x, some x. So this element is stored in this variable, and that variable I'm passing as a parameter into the function arrow JavaScript function. Now inside the JavaScript, what we will do now, we will capture the text from this variable. That is the actual name of the person. Then we will compare with your expected name. So how to capture the text value from this variable is simply we can say x.text. This is a JavaScript function. This will return you the actual name of the person which is there in your application. So I'm using let keyword. So you can use the let keyword, where keyword. So multiple things you can use in JavaScript. Okay. So what is basically I'm doing here is I have created a user defined function in which I'm going to write everything. So explicit assertions, whenever you want to use, we need to write a user defined function. So this element I have captured into this variable, which is X. From that X, I'm using this parameter variable into the method of the body. So the body of the method. So here capturing the text value from this X. Now I know the actual name. So what is the next thing? We know the expected name here and we know the actual name. Now we need to compare. So for that, I'm going to use assertions. So I'm going to use BDD assertions, expect. So the first assertion, expect, and here, what is an actual name? This is your actual name. Copy this actual name here, right? Copy this actual name, and we need to compare this actual name with what? Expected name. So here we need to use something called dot to dot equal contained. So contains everything is there. So let me just call equal method, equal expect, this is actual name, dot to dot equal, and what is our actual name here? This is actual name we used. Expected name is what? Exp name. That's your expected name. This is your expected name. So this is a one assertion. And this is a one assertion. What type of exception assertion it is? Explicit assertion in BDD approach. So we are capture the title of the particular element, and then we are comparing the actual name with the expected name. Right. So similarly, we have also opposite negative assertions. Same thing we can write like this. Same thing we can write like this. Expect actual name dot to dot not equal. Suppose opposite. Negative assertion to not equal to expected name. If the actual name is not equal to expected name, then this assertion will be passed. Otherwise, it will fail. Okay, this is the way we can add BDD assertions. So there are multiple things we can validate. So here 2 dot equal, 2 dot not equal. Similarly, there are so many options are provided along with the expect. So if I just look at the if I look at the Cypress official document, just go to the document, you can see so many options which are available. Cypress assertions. If I go to the Cypress assertions documentation, now you can just look at here BDD assertions. And all BDD assertions, we can use expect. So these are the different options which are available. You can see here expect name, not to equal, deep equal, strict equal, to be. Okay, there are so many examples they have provided. You can see here, this is the equal method. Equal 42.2 equal 42. If both are equal, then expect will pass. So these are basically derived from Chai library, Chai framework. So this is a JavaScript based framework. So from there, all assertions are implemented in Cypress. So this is the list of assertions which we can use along with the expect, and in the BDD style, we can add all these kind of assertions. Okay. Now, if you just come down to the same page, you can see something called TDD assertions, test driven development, TDD style. So here we can directly use assert keyword. Assert dot is okay, assert dot is not okay, assert dot equal, assert dot not equal. So these are all different assertions which are provided. These are all in TDD style. Okay, let me also show you some of the assertions which are using in TDD style. Go back to your Visual Studio editor. And these two are in BDD style. So these assertions we have added in BDD style. Okay, now let us try to add some more assertions in TDD style. Okay, so I can say TDD style of assertions. Okay, so here instead of using expect, then we will just try to use asset. So I want to check actual name and expected name is same or not. So simply you can say asset dot equal, just pass two parameters. So you're checking actual name and whether is equal to expected name or not. That's it. If both names are equal, then this assertion will pass. And similarly, negative assertion, you can say assert dot not equal, assert dot not equal. Again, same parameters, actual name, comma, expected name, actual name, comma, expected name. So whenever you want to compare something with actual with expected, then we can directly use these assertions. So this is a BDD style of assertion. These are the TDD style of assertions. In the BDD style of assertions, we use expect keyword, whereas in the TDD style of assertions, we use assert keyword. And if I again look at their documentation, there are so many parameters supported in their official document. You can just look at here. These are the different type of assertions and examples they have provided in their official documentation. So wherever it is required and whenever we want to use assertions, we can refer this particular documentation. It's very, very clear. And they have given more examples for every type of assertion. Okay. So mainly these are the assertions normally we use in Cypress. Built-in assertions, and then also called as explicit assertions. Sorry, built-in assertions, which are also called as implicit assertions and explicit assertions. So under explicit assertions, we have expect and then assert. Okay. Now let us try to execute the code and then we will see how it is going to execute. So you can just remove all imported packages for now. Now let me save the file and then start executing. So let me go to the file and then save it. So as soon as you saved it, your execution will start. Just a second. Let me just close this window. Okay, let me just close all my browser windows. And then we will see how it is going to execute. So let me just click on the Chrome here, running Chrome. It is already running. Let me just kill my process for now. You can just right click, kill terminal. If you want to immediately exit from the execution, you can just kill it. Okay, then all windows automatically closed. And then what you can do is we can simply open the Cypress application one more time and then execute. So let me open the terminal once again. Go to the terminal, new terminal. And here I'm executing the same command, npx Cypress open. So sometimes your VS Code will be disconnected from the Cypress server. So in those cases, again, you have to relaunch your Cypress application by running this command, npx Cypress open. Okay, end-to-end testing, and then click on the Chrome browser, start it. Okay, now this is my assertions, and now I'm going to execute this spec file. Now I'm launching my Chrome test. So here, all my spec file is got launched here. Let me just click on the assertions. So once you click on it, it is started executing my test in my code. So describe block, implicit assertions are got passed. Now come to the explicit assertions. So we can just look at here. Actual title is different. Actual name of the person is different here, but we specified something called XYZ. So initially we don't know the name of the person. So we say XYZ. So what is an actual name is called Paul Collins. So this is a name of the user. Okay. So let us change the name in our test. Go to your VS Code. Now here we are using XYZ. So instead of XYZ, let me change the name. So Paul Paul Collins. Okay, so he is the guy. Once you successfully log in, so you will be able to see this particular name of the person. So this is the person. Now let me go to the file and again save it. Now again see the execution. So now it is successfully logging. Now we got the same name Paul Collins. Now you can just look at here. The first assertion, equal assertion is got passed, but the second assertion is a negative assertion because we have given some different. We are given the same name, both are equal, but what we are expecting is not equal. So that's the reason the second assertion is got failed here, because assertion here we are expecting Paul Collins and it is again Paul Collins. Both are equal. So that's the reason not equal assertion is got failed. Okay. So it is also clearly saying here why it is got failed and where exactly it is got failed, right? So this is how we can add assertions. But whenever you add BDD style of assertions or TDD style of assertion, these are all explicit assertions. Then first we need to capture the element on which you want to add validation. We need to capture that element. And then you need to write one user defined JavaScript function like this. So once you get an element, then you can add any number of assertions on that element. So whatever we want to validate on the web page, anything. But we need to first capture the element. And then we can add multiple validations. Either it can be BDD style or it can be TDD style. So these are all explicit assertions. Now, if I just look at this, how many types of assertions it will support? Two types of assertions. Implicit assertions, where we can use should and these are the different options which are provided. The second one is explicit assertions. Here we have expect and assert. And expect we can use if you want to add validations in the BDD approach, or if you want to add validations in the TDD approach, then we use assert. So these are the basic assertions which we can use in the Cypress. And if you want to know more about these assertions, you can just always refer the Cypress official documentation. So let me just show you that. So let me kill the terminal. Now let me show the documentation where we can see all assertions and go to their official documentation. Just now we opened Cypress assertions and this is their official documentation. All kinds of assertions, BDD assertions, list of assertions they have provided, and TDD assertions also they have provided. So according to your requirement, then you can use these assertions in your automation script. Okay. So assertions are the validation points. So whenever you write any test cases, we have to include assertions to validate something on the web page. Okay. So that is all about assertions concept in Cypress. In the next video, we will discuss another concept. So thanks for watching. We'll see in the next video.